the band yet again. Mr. Wallace is MIA today, but he may call in. He's got some family stuff to attend to, and let's be honest, he's probably watching the Texans or getting ready to watch the Texans. How about those Texans? I think a lot of excitement around that stuff. Guys, are you excited at all about the Texans?
Yeah, they're not the Cowboys, so that's great.
They're all Cowboys.
Okay. Yeah, no, they're definitely not the Cowboys. Yeah, no, it's I think it's exciting. I think Ian has said it the best. They're either going to win or lose. So I think that's a pretty fair assessment.
Yeah, 50-50, man, 50-50.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Are we gonna take bets on it?
Oh, no. I don't have enough money to lose. So, Byron has said he's going to sit this one out. So now we can make fun of him the entire show, and it will be good fun. So, all right. Ray's going to start us off. Dear golly, I can speak English. With some movie news. What's going on in the cinema world, Ray?
Movies. Movies.
This is gonna be a really long show.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. They got some stuff coming out, and people are being a little, they're having some nice.
What's the go-to must-go see this week?
Oh, geez, I don't even know.
I don't know. I mean, they already said. I just saw an article yesterday that Avatar is losing steam after week 3, but I think, okay, I know Ian hates the A word, but do we think it's because the Avengers previews have been released on YouTube now and people aren't going to see it?
No.
Did you see it?
I haven't seen it, but I mean, in this day and age, it's not like, movies are going to be lasting, 9, 10, 15, 12, whatever in the, in the charts, just being you can't talk, I can't talk, just being in the theater, because it's not like the old times when
pre-COVID
you could have well, not just even pre-COVID, but like when you look at movies like Titanic that spent 6-7 months just being in the theater because people just kept coming and coming and coming.
I noticed the one you were talking about the other day with Hugh Jackman.
Sheep?
No, not that one. The where he's a cover artist.
Yeah, Song Blue.
Yep, it's already out on streaming.
Yeah,
like it's already released on streaming, and they just released it on Kaleidescape. So that either means the movie did really bad.
There are so many movies
Yeah.
on Amazon, which is my only streaming platform, but if I look at it, it's advertising all these movies still in theaters, but you can now rent it or buy it on here.
Yeah, that's a thing, and that hurts cinemas. I mean, that's not a fun thing for cinemas, I don't think, because I can't, to me, there are certain movies that need to be seen in theater. Like, I wished I had seen Tron Ares in theater. I wish I had seen Top Gun Maverick in theater. I'm still kicking myself about not seeing Maverick in theater, because even on the best cinemas we build, it's still not an IMAX. It's still not some of those other
PLFs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's again with the streaming and something we talked about before. I mean, that theatrical window is just getting shorter and shorter every time, and it kind of sucks because
well, they don't make them they don't make movies fast enough to fill the void. And then the older movies just sit there, and then nobody goes to see the older movie because it's on streaming or it's on free on Peacock or Paramount.
Yeah,
or
I think Begonia just came out. It's something I've been wanting to see. I think me and the wife wanted to see that. It just they just don't last.
Yeah.
In theaters. So.
I just couldn't get into I did not see Way of the Water. And I think there was just such a giant gap between the first one and the second one. I feel like I would have to go revisit the first one to figure out what the heck's going on in the second one. I tried to watch it not recently. I tried to watch it, and it's not the same. it's not the same. It just wasn't the same feeling, I guess. And I don't know if that's because cinema has gotten better or special effects have gotten better, and now it's a little bit on the lackluster side in comparison to what you're normally seeing. But yeah, no, it just
I think it's just, you have this group that just goes and watches the movie, and it's not like before people were going in and watching the movie over and over. Now, when Godzilla -1 came out, like for me, I watched that like 3 times at the theater, only because I just thought it was just a phenomenal movie, and on how it was made, and I don't know if this is kind of a thing, but you don't normally get stories like the way you did in that movie.
Yeah.
In a Godzilla movie, it's just
right.
like, Godzilla just crushing things. But this one actually, I think you can kind of see that they put a little bit of thought into it with the writing, and it was just such a great movie.
And then King Kong versus Godzilla was also good out of the same series. That
yeah,
one
I
was
think
fun.
they kind of went a little weird, with
It got very Godzilla movie-ish, If you...
Well, yeah. I mean, but I mean, growing up, I loved watching those movies. So
Yeah.
it's just, to me, it's more nostalgia, and I can watch them and don't care if the movie sucks or not, because it's Godzilla.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah. No, Ian had an interesting movie thing pop up. You want to talk about that one a little bit?
Yeah. Researching wacky races for some other completely random reason, and the thing that came up top of Google search was Wacky Races 2025 movie, and starring Jim Carrey and Reese Witherspoon and John Cena, and there were photos of them and there was a trailer, and it's like it was even on IMDb.
Wow. It's not, and it was all BS. It was
well, it's another, it's AIBS.
Right. Yeah.
Which is
IBS. Aha. I see what you did there.
Abe's.
It's I see Abe's, what you did there.
AIBS.
It's Abe's of yes. No.
But
okay. So first, I have questions. One, what and why were we looking at wacky races? And
actually, I wanted a picture of Muttley.
Oh, for what? What were you doing?
Just for a comment in a forum. So that I could do the laugh.
Which now I have more questions. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Foiled again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd make a great Dick Dastardly.
Would I?
Yeah.
I always was told. I've always, now that's Captain Pike, Johnny Bravo, and now that Dick Dastardly. Is that what it is?
No. And then I got to thinking, if somebody was to make it, I would be waiting at the cinema to watch it. You think, they could do CGI stuff with Professor Pending, whatever his vehicle was called.
Well, go back and look at what they did with Speed Racer, and that was 20 years ago, and it was good. I mean, they did a very good job. It was a very underrated movie, but it was.
So too, yeah.
But I think it was kind of lost in translation because most of the up and coming.
Is that a white racing car with a red stripe?
Yes. Yeah, Mach 5.
I've seen the real car.
Okay. No, I've seen it in the Woodlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a guy in the Woodlands that owns a clone of that car. Yeah. It's very interesting. You see him at Cars and Coffee every now and then. He'll bring it out.
Talking of which, I saw a DeLorean pulled up at Starbucks when I was sat there one day, and it actually had the Outer Time license plate.
That's cool. So there's a DeLorean. There's a place called... it's a gaming place just across Rayford. And I think the owner has a DeLorean. It's because there's always a DeLorean parked out in front of it.
It was probably him because he said something about he runs a gaming place.
Yeah, no, it's something classic arcade or something.
Yeah.
You come in, you pay a flat fee, and then you just play all day long. It's all old pinball games and arcade games, and
we should go there.
It'd be fun.
Podcast party.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun. There's a lot of fun little small businesses like that
I love pinball.
does that stuff. Yeah, no, there's a bunch of pinball machines. And then you just play all day. You play a flat fee of like $20 or $15 or something, and then you play all day.
Yeah, you spend more money doing that. Like back then, just putting quarters in just to try to beat a game.
That was just one game. Yeah, yeah. Remember Tilt? Yeah, the in the malls and whatnot.
We had Aladdin's Castle. Sorry.
I beat Donkey Kong. So
in an arcade,
one game, and I went all the way around 100,000. It went back to 0.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was about 2 hours, I think.
Oh wow! In an arcade,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, James Cameron actually sent out a weird letter to move. Well, and I didn't know this was a thing until Ray and I had talked about it a little bit earlier. But apparently, that is a thing that directors send letters to cinemas for calibration and things.
Yeah. I mean, even back during the 35 millimeter days, you had, you would get, letters in the film cans. You would build up a movie, and it would just say, okay, this movie was made at, this volume played at this, or, the Foot Lamberts are at this, and, make sure.
So do you guys actually go back and adhere to all that stuff?
Well, I mean, every theater chain has their technicians and their specs that they got to follow, right? Because you have, in the industry, you have to abide by certain specs, whether it's DCI or your company's own, right? When it comes to audio or whatever, depending on who you work for, and you follow those specs. And, as long as you follow them and whatever you're projecting, your image, has the correct light output, has the correct audio settings, has the correct, whatever, then you're going to be okay. But, in the film cans, and I have a couple of them at home that I'll probably, just to kind of show you. Obviously, nobody can see it, but they used to send us, Pixar used to send us these cards. They were projectionist notes, and they were really cool. They were just little trading cards that you can have, and on it would say, okay, follow this or follow that or whatever the case was, and they were really cool. So as a projection manager and projectionist at one time or whatever, we'd get them, we'd keep them, and they were just kind of neat. So I still have probably 4 or 5 decks, small. They're not like a complete deck or anything, but they're kind of neat. So
that was one of the most fun. There was a day, and this was probably it was during COVID, I think, and this was when all the theaters were shut down, everything. And Ray called me up one day. He said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, we're just running service tickets, just finished up for the day." And it was like noon or something. He said, "Hey, you need to come visit me at Spring Woods or whatever." And it was one of the theaters. This is before IMAX days, so this is when you were a local cinema stuff. You weren't traveling everywhere. It was just a local cinema, and so I kind of got a backlot tour and I was like a kid in a candy store, because again, we build the things to try to create technologies that you play with every day. So that's what's so fun about what you do in comparison to what we do. And so I got to see a lot of that cool technology, and I just had no clue how there's this long hallway of projectors, and you could just, you were walking from cinema to cinema all in one hallway, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely, you could see the relationship between home cinema and, theaters, but it's still never going to be the same. And I've had many conversations with different people, and I'm like, well, I could just, go and buy this or go and buy that. And I'm like, yeah, you can, but it just doesn't give you the same presence as being in the theater. And it makes everything just so different when you're looking at it from like, am I going to be sitting in this room, or am I going to be sitting in a big auditorium? And I think that really does make a huge difference.
How long have you worked in the movie industry?
Oh, I started off as an usher.
So all the way from...
So like, I think I'm going on 32, 33 years, maybe, something like that.
Make room for Jesus, you two.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, those are the good ones. I remember just when you had movies like Grumpy Old Men, and they're selling out like the weekend because it was just such a popular movie, or I mean, even the Van Damme Street Fighter movie was just like bringing in people, and it's crazy because that was something that you like to see, but when you watch those movies at home, it for me, just my opinion, it doesn't give you the same,
No, it doesn't.
Feeling. Like, I remember just watching, Empire at the theater, watching Jedi at the theater, and then you're just like, wow. And then I can watch it now at home. Of course, I've seen them dozens of times, and I'm just like, yeah, this is great. Okay. But it doesn't give me that same type of feeling that I had watching it at the theater.
It's foreign to me. I've owned home cinemas and home theaters. I have multiple houses now, and even some of the best ones that I've built, it's really not the same. Now, there's some that are out there that we've designed that are really darn close, that are a lot of fun. But I would say there's nothing like it. There's just really nothing like it. It's the smell of the popcorn, even
Don't say
the
sticky floors, because that's...
even the annoyance of somebody kicking your seat or whatever. It's part of that experience, and it's getting up, getting dressed, making an effort to go somewhere. Anybody can plop down at home and watch a movie, and I think that's the sad part about what's going on today, is that people are homebodies. They're glued to their devices. They're glued to their phones, and at least be glued to your phone for 45 minutes for a podcast. But that's what I'm saying. It's just like, it's part of the experience,
It definitely is. I mean, you don't want to. You were talking about not watching Maverick at the theater, and that's definitely a miss. That's definitely a miss on your part.
Yeah, no, Maverick is by far probably one of the best. It's probably the best movie in the last 10 years. I mean, it's just, I would venture to say. I mean, there's a lot of close seconds, but for a recent movie to come out and be on my top 10 movies of all times, which that's another fun conversation, is you try to play the top 5 movie game, and then it just gets really hard, and then top 10's not much easier. Now top 20, you loosen the grip a little bit until you get to about 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Because
you start throwing movies in for no reason.
Yeah, no.
What's your number one then?
What's my number one? See, so there's different categories. This is a movie that if you're flipping channels, you cannot flip past. You have to stop and you have to watch it. I would say any 3 of the Back to the Future, any 1, 2, or 3 Back to the Future. That would be probably my number one. And my number one changes from time to time, but that would be my number one. It was so beautifully done. The soundtrack was awesome.
So let's say Back to the Future as a franchise is one select.
Yeah. No, so that's where
mine's older than that.
What's that?
It's Highlander.
Really? So did you like Highlander 2?
No, the original Highlander, because
yes, the very first with Sean Connery and Christopher Lambert. Yeah,
because it's a Queen soundtrack.
Oh well, yeah. The whole thing was the Queen.
But you watch it properly with proper audio, and it's like.
We'll have to do that when the Beast is up and going.
It's definitely. I mean, I gotta agree with Ian on that one, man. Because
that's your number one.
Highlander's not my number one.
Okay,
well, it's in my top 5.
But did you disown it when Highlander 2 came out because it was such an abomination of a movie?
It wasn't as bad as Highlander 3.
So the fun story about Highlander 2 is it wasn't actually supposed to be a Highlander movie. It was actually a movie called Time Travelers, and they were running out of time on a Highlander sequel, and they lost their funding, and they said, well, what if we make it a Highlander movie? And then they changed a couple things around, and that's when it became Highlander 2. That's why it didn't fit. It's why it didn't. Highlander 3 was horrible. I liked Highlander, the TV show. Like, the TV show.
Yeah, that was his brother.
Right, and then
who suddenly happened along and was also an immortal.
If you go revisit it, there's a movie called Highlander Dimensions, which is him and Christopher Lambert in the same movie. And that's a good movie precursor because there's a reboot coming out with Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill's actually going to play the Highlander, and then there's rumor that Christopher Lambert is going to play the Sean Connery part, which now he's at the right age bracket to play that part. So it could be fun. It could be. And Henry Cavill, I mean, he's amazing. I like him as an actor because he loves the source material so much because he's a nerd. You wouldn't think somebody that looks like Superman would be such a computer nerd and a movie nerd, but he really is. And he absolutely loves the source material if he takes a role. That's why he just cares about it to the nth degree. So it makes it fun.
Another one that you might think was up there would be Flash Gordon, because again, it was a Queen soundtrack. But
I'm seeing a pattern of theme here.
Yeah, but that doesn't even come close.
All right, Ray, what's your number one?
My number one movie.
It's hard
of all time.
Yeah,
right.
So it could be a series too. I mean,
it's not.
Okay,
it's Rocky.
Okay,
and so
that's definitely my top 10 for sure.
And
the ultimate underdog story.
Well, yeah. I mean, not just that. I just I think just the way that it was made. I mean, I learned to appreciate it more as I got older.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of where it was at. But I mean, there are a lot of movies that are just I can mix and match in the top 5. Anywhere from Braveheart to The Crow to Highlander to
Wow, and Back to the Future is not even the top 5.
Back to the Future is almost like the Holy Trinity.
Well, right.
Because or the trilogy, I should say.
It's one of the most perfect time travel movies out there where it doesn't contradict itself or
I put like movies like Back to the Future or even,
so
episode 4, 5, and 6 Star Wars into their own category.
Well, yeah. I mean, so Ian has number 1. So Ian is Highlander, and then number 2 is Flash Gordon.
No. I said that would be. You'd think that would be in the same vein.
Yeah.
It's not, because it's not a very good movie at all. No, Indiana Jones.
Okay, so I was gonna say Indiana Jones: Last Crusade was gonna be my number 2. But I like all of them. I was more of a Last Crusade guy because the dynamic between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford is just absolutely cinema magic. I mean, it is just, most of that was unscripted. There's so many cool backstories to how they shot those things. Did you know the scene in the blimp when they're both sitting there, sitting across the table? Right before the scene, Sean Connery took his trousers off. And Harrison Ford's looking at him like, why you're sitting there in your underwear, dude? And he said, if I put these because they were all dressed in winter clothes, and it was in the middle of the summer. So he goes, if I put my pants on and wear this up on the top, I'm going to be sweating bullets, and we're going to have to do the scene over and over and over again. And Harrison Ford looks over, he said, is that allowed? And he was like, yeah, you can do that. We're just shooting from the table up. He goes, well, I'm taking my pants off too. So they're both sitting there. If there's somewhere there's a photograph of them doing the scene, they're both sitting there in their boxer shorts.
Hey, whatever makes the scene work.
So number 2 would be Indiana Jones. Number 2, that's my number 2 as well.
And we're getting into the point where it's like Top Gun, Maverick is a combination. All the Indiana Jones is a combination.
Well, right, but that's okay. I mean, that's allowed. I mean, that's still allowed. And then I gotta say, Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park's my number 3, the OG, the original. But here's why. It was the first time in my memory that I had seen a dinosaur on screen, on the big screen, and thought, holy hell, how did they make this like, how did they do this? And that's what
real.
Well, and that was one of the things that actually drew me into the industry that I'm in now, because I became more of I want to know how they made it. I want to know the nitty gritty effects. I want to see the puppeteers. I want to see all this stuff. And the fact that the T-Rex head was real. The T-Rex model was real, and I mean, a real scale. I mean, it was a massive creature. And but yeah, no, I would say that would be my solid number 3 would be Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was cinema magic, man.
I mean, it's definitely, you know, for its time,
Right.
you know, right? Like it was a good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and that going back to, if you never watched it at the theater, if you were old enough to watch it at the theater and you didn't, and you missed out,
Yep.
that's on you.
What is your top? What's your number 3?
Oh, that's tough.
See, I'm telling you, it gets tough, right? It starts to get fun because it's like, oh man, I don't know which way I go.
Well, I've got several go-tos. I wouldn't, it's like you said, it gets flexible when you start talking 10, 5, 10, 20, you know, but...
What's your number 3?
I don't know, but just another one that just came to mind is the Blues Brothers.
Okay. That's cult classic.
If I happen to be flipping through and see it's on, it's like, oh yeah, I just got to stop.
Can't flip through it.
I got to stop and watch it.
All right, you back to you, Ray.
Oh,
What's your number 3?
That's I don't know.
You're gonna make fun of me. I've honestly never watched that movie in its entirety.
What, Blues Brothers?
The Blues Brothers, yeah. I think it was a little bit before my time, a little bit before I was allowed to watch movies like that. But I need to go revisit it.
You need to watch it all the way through.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. There's a couple that, you know, going back to like movies that you could just stop on and just watch, and like one of my favorite Warren Beatty movies is Heaven Can Wait.
Okay.
And that one, I don't know. Yeah, they remade it with Chris Rock. It was trash. But it was such a good movie.
Is that in your top 10 or is that your number 3?
It's definitely in my top 10. It's
okay,
not on,
so
not
top
number 3,
10, but not. Okay, so we have to put it at 10 then.
You could put it. Yeah, it can hover around there. It won't. I don't think it'll drop out of top 10. But you know, there's
Yippee-ki-yay.
Oh, Die Hard. Yeah, I mean, no, you got to do a Die Hard.
See, now you just coming up. Now it's like you coming up with movies. I'm
so
like, yeah,
I would go my number 3. Did I do number 3 yet? I don't think I did number 3 yet. No, I did. I did Jurassic Park. I did.
Yeah.
I did Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park. My number 3 or number 4 is Tombstone. Tombstone, absolutely best. One of the first time in cinema history where the characters, because of the way it was shot, looked 10 foot tall. You know, most Westerns hadn't been shot like that before. Most Westerns were shot in 4:3. The director specifically chose a camera angle to shoot upwards to make Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer and all those guys look like they were just giants.
Yeah,
and it was
that movie
so
had
good.
A lot of director issues, and if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me on this, but Kurt Russell directed most of that movie.
I did not know that. No.
Yeah. So he didn't get credit for it because I think you have to be part of the Directors Guild. Yeah, I don't know much about that, but you know, just from my understanding, for what I know, is that, you know, he directed a lot of that movie.
Did he really? Well, you know what's funny is Kevin Costner was originally supposed to play Kurt Russell's part, and he turned it down. And I don't remember why he turned it down.
He wanted to make his own Wyatt movie?
Well, no, that was after the fact, and it failed miserably.
Well, yeah.
It just wasn't as good. Well, actually, it was more accurate than the Tombstone. There were some embellishments on the Tombstone stuff, and as always, but the one-liners in that movie. I mean, the best part of it was Val Kilmer. I mean, playing Doc Holliday.
A lot of it was ad-lib too, wasn't it?
Yes. No, it was. So there's a fun story about that one is he actually, there's a speech coach that he used to learn Doc Holliday's dialect. And when he called the speech coach, and you'll have to watch the video, I'm not going to try to do it because I won't do it justice, but he had a very long Southern drawl, and he talked very slow. Well, hello, Val. You know, and that's where he got the accent from, was this speech coach. And he said, nope, that's Doc Holliday. And Doc Holliday he was a very educated person, and so he had a very interesting jargon and verbiage that he would use when he wrote, because he wrote books and things like that, and as well, and he was also described a lot by Wyatt Earp, who was still living, well after he did. So, in fact, Wyatt Earp even went to go be in the early movies and things.
He did a lot of
coaching. Yeah,
yeah. I think he died in the 20s, 1920s.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. No, it was very old westerns and stuff, and it was actually very interesting. And so, but yeah, no, Tombstone. Tombstone would be my number 4 without a doubt, hands down. Number 4, Tombstone.
I mean, if you're gonna go, kind of a western like that. I mean, I put Young Guns into some of my favorite movies.
Okay.
Because I mean,
I don't know if about top 10, but definitely in my top 20.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like it's gonna be a low on the totem pole right there. But
yeah,
but Young Guns. I mean, and Emilio Estevez in that.
Oh, brilliant!
Was just amazing.
And he's doing another one. They're doing. He just about 6 months ago. He said they were starting to film this in New Mexico. Like he's filming it in New Mexico, but I don't even know what they're gonna do. Like, it was it old guns or middle-aged guns or ancient guns? I mean, what are they gonna do?
Or just dead guns? Because I don't know where they're gonna go with that.
No, especially after number 2. He's crossing his arms. What do you got?
I was just gonna say, I think we ought to do some homework for next week and think about it and bring in our definitive top 10.
We should. Okay. Yeah, no, we should totally. I could do mine all right now.
Yeah, I know, but just think about
I've had this conversation before, though. That's why.
But, the rules about if it's Die Hard or if it's Indiana Jones, that's one choice. Where would you put it in your top 10?
Right.
Not different movies from the same series, if you like.
I think because of how all of us are, like, I mean, as far as age wise goes, I mean, it's going to be super tough because
but so far it hasn't. So far, there's a lot of synergy between some of the movies that are going on.
You can bring up one movie and then I won't remember, right? Like you brought up Tombstone, I'm like, oh shit, well, what about what about Young
now? Where does Tombstone?
Or then you go to Kurt Russell, and I'm like, Overboard is going to be in my top 5.
Is it really?
I freaking love that movie, dude. I can watch that movie.
Wow. I can't. Wow. All right.
Why is that surprising?
No, to me, it's just, I don't think it was a top 5, but yeah, no, I mean, I never thought of it as a top 5. I mean, there's a lot of movies to go in for top 5. Let's see, what would be my...
Maybe you should spice it up a bit and make it your top 11 to 20.
Yeah, no, it's...
The top 100, how about that?
Terminator 2. There's another one. Terminator 2. James Cameron. Terminator 2 was the largest box office movie budget of its time. In fact, I think it had the biggest box office budget. It was the first time there was I think it was a movie budget over 10 million, which sounds small by today's standards, but back in the early 90s, that was a huge deal. But Terminator 2, Terminator 2 is another one of those. It's on in my top 10. Really, I'm doing it because for definite reasoning. I've always enjoyed the way things work, and so I'm one of those nerds that will watch Terminator 2 for the director commentary, just to see how they made it, just to see how they made the scene. And I don't know why. I don't know what makes me that way, but it's just, Gio come in, she's just like, why are you watching the commentary? And it's like, why wouldn't you watch the commentary? This is brilliant.
No, sometimes it's good to see it from the director's standpoint, because a lot of times you're just getting, you're sitting down and you're watching the movie and you're just like, wow, this is great. But, I'm kind of the same way. I don't watch the commentary, but I like watching the behind the scenes and
I love it.
And things go. But, it's all about, what you are seeing and listening to, and how they got there.
Right.
It's
like, did you know that the cop, not the cop, when they're in the insane asylum and the guard that's getting coffee out of the machine and then the T2 comes up and it's a clone of the same guy. You know, the most of the scenes where you see two of the same people, they use twins. It wasn't special effects at all. They actually just cast body doubles and twins through the whole movie.
Linda Hamilton's a twin.
Yeah.
So, they're in the the atomic scene, that was her sister. That wasn't even her.
I know. Well, the other one was where she busts through the door and breaks the guy's nose. That was a real nose break. They had to get that in one take, and they were hoping that they got it in the take because she really popped him in the nose and broke his nose. She was too close. He was too close to the door when she slammed into the door. And it broke his, because that's why his nose was broken through the entire rest of the movie, was because she really broke his nose. Yeah. But so yeah, Terminator 2's got to be in there. It's just not one, and the rest we'll ignore all of the rest of them. But part 2 was what's got to be in there.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think Ian's right. I think Ian's. We need to make our that'll be Byron's homework as well. I'd be interested to see what his movies are as well. But
SpongeBob.
Nothing wrong with SpongeBob.
Easy Rider. Yeah, no, no, I could, it's just something that I aimlessly think about a lot, clearly. But, gotta have at least one Quentin Tarantino movie in there, it has to be in your list. But, either Pulp Fiction.
I mean, that one is kind of tough because, with coming out and you're watching Pulp Fiction and you're just like, wow, the way that, it was made and how he did it. It was such a great movie, but I don't know if I would put Tarantino in my top 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's way too many other ones that are just
name a couple. Let me see.
Mel Brooks, Blazing Saddles.
Oh.
I mean, I
don't know.
Brooks.
A Million Ways to Die in the West, or some such title.
So,
Brought to you by ABC and edited abridged version of Blazing Saddles. Thank you for this abridged version of Blazing Saddles. It would be less than 30 seconds long.
Horrible. I mean, like I
Men in Tights, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, Spaceballs, yeah. But none of those would be in my top 10, I don't think.
Those are movies that you can enjoy, watch. I mean, if you're a Mel Brooks fan, I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan.
Oh, I am too. Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's just going back. I mean, I love Eastwood's Pale Rider, right? That was
okay.
Although to me it was a little bit more of like
okay, there's your sub list to do as well.
Have
your homework.
We got
top 10 favorite actors, actresses.
There is, and one of my favorite is Seven Samurai.
Okay.
So I go back.
It's going way back. Yeah.
To any Akira Kurosawa movie.
Okay. Did you like The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise?
Loved it.
I did too.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who didn't.
Oh no, I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Because
it was a great movie.
A great movie.
Yeah, no, that was an amazing movie. The Patriot would be on that list somewhere. The Patriot was another great movie. But that could be a whole other subcategory. I mean, we're 38 minutes into it. We haven't shut up about movies, but to me, this kind of is a precursor of where we're going and what we're talking about. So Matt Scarborough from Kaleidescape is actually going to come on board. He's going to bring some friends with him. That'll be next week's show. He had a personal thing come up that he had to attend to, and he was apologetic and disappointed because he's excited about coming on the show.
So that's why we're off script today.
Oh, that's why we're off script today. Yeah, no, we're off script because we had I was going to dedicate the whole show to that particular platform and stratosphere and whatnot, and we're going to talk about the new Strato E, which is their they have now 3 different price points. They have $1,000 price point. They have a $2,000 price point, a $3,000 price point, and a $4,500 price point, and then it starts to go up significantly from there. But The Strato E has been very popular. It holds 5 movies on its onboard storage, but you can swap out those movies at any time. I like to think of it as like a CD changer. It's like a 5-disc changer. You can't do that with your Blu-ray player anyway. It's like your Blu-ray player is only going to hold 1 disc, so don't hate on a product that holds 5. You know what I mean? And so, but yes, you can download. I mean, you can buy as many movies as you want. But the system will only hold.
Let me
5
ask
movies.
you this.
Sure, please.
And I don't know a lot about Kaleidescape.
Sure.
So, when you buy a movie, do you own it?
Yes.
On Kaleidescape.
Yep.
Okay, and the only reason why I bring this up is you don't own it on Apple.
Nope.
So it's non-transferable. You can't will them to anybody. So when you buy it on Kaleidescape, then that means
it's your movie.
It's your movie.
They're
not going to be, okay, well, if I wanted to, will it to my daughter.
You can.
Okay.
It's your movie. It's your hard drive. It's your movie. So a lot of, and we're going to get into that. This is why this is such a brilliant topic and falls right into movies, because Kaleidescape is the ultimate machine for a cinema lover, movie lover. It's there are people out there that have giant movie collections like Ian. Ian is a media server builder. He enjoys building his own collection. He has his own collection locally, does all of those things. I also am a media server, or was a media server builder. I haven't really played with that type of stuff in a bit. But where Kaleidescape gets hated on quite a bit is the price point. The price point's not for everyone, but in my opinion, $3,000. I mean, if you go look at the best Blu-ray player you can buy, which is made from a company called Magnetar. It's not an American company, it's a Japanese company, but their entry level price point is about $2,000. For $1,000 more, I could own a Kaleidescape. And you can still take advantage of the disc to digital stuff. So what it is they have a disc to digital coupon. So if you have a giant library like Ian, you could actually load it into the Kaleidescape database, and they will give you significant discounts on movies. And I've seen
twice.
Oh, well, correct. But he didn't pay for most of them anyway. People give him libraries a lot of the time.
I got a lot of them free and a lot of them cheap.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So I've seen movies like Gran Turismo, which is a newer movie. If you have the disc, $5. $5 you get Gran Turismo. Avatar, I've seen as cheap as $10. To get the 4K Dolby Atmos Avatar platform.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really have a problem with buying things twice, but
you already. Let's be honest. You've already bought it twice. You've probably bought it 3 times because you bought it on DVD. And then you bought it on Blu-ray.
I think you need to shush.
And then you see, I'm just gonna blow holes in your ship. That's what I'm gonna do. No. Okay, what do you got?
Well, I was looking at this because we were talking about it last week. But while I was looking for pricing and type of stuff on this Kaleidescape and the ultimate 4K system that they have on their website.
Yes,
it's 2 96 terabyte drive, so
Yep.
it's 192 terabytes.
Yep.
But it says
every movie in the Kaleidescape database.
4K movie available
Yeah.
at the time of shipment, preloaded.
Yep.
So you own them like you would a Blu-ray.
Yep. Yeah.
But how many are there?
A lot. I don't know. That would be a good thing to put on your list for the Matt question, because he could probably rattle that off pretty quick.
And how much would this cost?
I think it's $65,000. Is that what you said?
That was just.
Go look it up. Go look it up on Best Buy right now.
No, they don't sell the ultimate 4K system on Best Buy, but putting together the player and the 2 drives came to $65,000. But
let's see.
How much do you pay for all the movies on top of that?
How much is the ultimate Kaleidescape? Look it up for me. So going back to your point on Apple, no, you don't. You never own it. And here's what happens with Apple. If Apple decides, and going into the cancel culture society, and it's a weird thing to bring up when you're talking about this, but no, but it's important. But if you bring it up on this, which I'm going to do, so let's take, for instance, Kevin Spacey, for instance. So Kevin Spacey got into some controversial things, was pretty much canceled. He was thrown off House of Cards. He was thrown off a bunch of stuff. And what sucks so bad is I liked Kevin Spacey as an actor. I thought he was brilliant in Usual Suspects. I thought he was great in Seven. I thought he was great. I mean, there were so many good movies that he was in. And then when there was that paradigm shift where they started pulling him off Netflix and pulling him off different streaming services, he also got pulled off Apple. He got pulled up, but you didn't get your $20 back. So if you bought Seven and you owned Seven, all of a sudden Seven disappears from their movie database. They didn't refund you. They didn't give you a $20 credit. They just yanked the movie from the database. And that's the thing that can happen with streaming. It can happen to your music streaming, and it can happen to movies.
Actually, it has. There's a lot of stuff that I have that I bought way back when, before everything was pretty much you just buy the subscription base. But it was like, okay, well, this music can't be played in this region, or this music has been taken off, or we don't own lights, or whatever the case is. So it kind of sucks, and I don't see, how to invest into something like that if you can't own what you buy.
But you agreed to it. When you agreed to the terms and conditions.
Who reads that?
Nobody. Exactly. I don't. That's what I'm saying.
But the thing is,
we all agreed to
it. I get it. To a certain degree. But I think that if you are buying a movie for $14.99 and that's what it costs, even if you bought the Blu-ray or whatever, you should own it. Period.
Well, you do, and you own it. You do that when you do own it when you buy a disc. But here's the thing about disc: one, discs deteriorate. They age over time. The polymer thins out, and then there are some discs that are unplayable after a certain period of time if they're not stored properly. So that would be one. They scratch. So if you scratch a disc, can't really repair it very easily, and if you do, then there's some quality issues after the fact. And then number 3 on disc is they take up space. They take up shelf. You got to store them somewhere. They take up massive shelves or crates or boxes.
What you're telling
whatever.
me is that me and Byron are going to be getting our Kaleidescape soon.
Well, if you get the 90 grand ultimate 4K system, you get approximately 1,500 4K movies. That's how much it can hold, anyway.
Right. No, there's even a bigger
grand,
system.
You only get 1,500 movies
max.
No, it's actually It's actually $117,000 is what I'm seeing right now. It's It's called the 2 Tera Prime 96 terabyte servers, 1 Strato V 4K collection. It's $117,999, $995 is where you're at. What a deal. Notice the silence in the room. It's like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're speaking to the wrong crowd on this.
Yeah, no. Here's the thing. I wouldn't do that. Not because, one, there's gonna be movies in there that I don't want. So, I don't want Magic Mike in 4K. I don't want. There's certain things that you don't want to see.
That was the first thing that came to your mind.
Yes. Well, no. I'm staring at the movies page right now. So. It was the first thing I see on my page, and I'm like, I don't want that in 4K. Yeah, no, there's different preloaded things you can do on those services. But yeah, here's what I'll say: if you don't have a giant disc collection and you're just getting started, or you're starting over again, then Kaleidescape makes this unit, the Strato E, makes perfect sense. Again, everybody blows holes in the ship because it has X, Y, and Z storage. It's only going to hold 5 movies. Well, how many does your disc player hold now? 1. Remember back
if you leave it in there.
You remember back in the 90s where Sony had that 200 disc CD changer, but the problem is there was no on-screen display for it. So how in the heck are you going to remember what disc 175 was, or 89 or 65 or any of those things?
Yeah, I mean, going back to just technology in general with it. I mean, it just, things are getting better, but they are getting more expensive, and there's nothing that you can do to fight that. There's nothing you're going to be able to do, because it doesn't matter. It's just they're gonna keep getting better, and they're gonna keep getting more expensive.
But let's look at that devil's advocate for a minute. When the Blu-ray player first came out, it wasn't cheap.
No,
that was a Sony BDP 1000. It was $1,200, $1,300.
Right.
And it got cheaper. Now you can't give a Blu-ray player away the time.
But the technology didn't change in the Blu-ray player. So the Blu-ray player always stays the same. You're not getting, I mean, granted they might, put a little bit of like DTSX in there, or Adobe Pro Logic, or whatever the case is.
God, you went way back.
But
Pro Logic.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
But it doesn't, which is now Dolby Atmos.
I know.
But it doesn't.
Logic 2.
The technology for Blu-ray didn't change. The technology for the movie changed, because the Blu-ray can hold, the resolution on that was just phenomenal.
It's an AP, yeah. Nobody's seen anything like it. Yeah.
But when you're looking at something that like a Kaleidescape or anything like that, the technology is going to constantly change.
Yep.
Regardless.
Right.
So it's going to maintain the level of cost, as opposed to a Blu-ray player that you can go get for $29 at Walmart.
Right.
And you think a Blu-ray player and a 4K TV is kind of sounding great, but you've got to remember Blu-rays are only 1080p.
Right.
Obviously, you get upscaling these days on TVs or players, but the ultimate 4K Blu-ray is still a niche.
So correct me if I'm wrong on this, but to me, Blu-ray so DVD, okay. The difference between DVD and Blu-ray was significant enough for me to go rebuy my movie collection. The reason I think Ultra HD Blu-ray was a failure to launch is because by the time everybody went and rebought all their crap on Blu-ray, then you release Ultra HD, but it wasn't that significant enough to switch over, because they couldn't get along on what HDR format they wanted. They couldn't get along on what 4K format was the industry standard. Everybody was arguing whether it was 4K by 60 or 4K by 120. The film industry went with 60. Don't know why. You'll have to tell me why they went with 60 frames per second instead of 120. But to me, it was a failure to launch, because we just got done upgrading our library to Blu-ray. And it was like this, here's this new thing. And really the only reason why guys like me jumped into some of it, and I bought a handful of discs, was because of Atmos. Atmos became available on the Ultra HD stuff.
Yeah, but again, I mean, even Sony would put out a 4K player, right? I mean, so
remember that JVC thing that was the dual. It played HD DVD and Blu-ray at the same time, or it would play either or. Super Blue is what it was called.
Xbox tried to come. They had their own HD disc drive that you would buy separately.
So
and you would have to connect.
Funny story about Xbox is Microsoft refused to side with one or the other because they didn't want to piss anybody off. So they made an external HD DVD drive, but not an internal. Sony owned Blu-ray, and so they just put Blu-ray drives on all of their the newest PlayStations that started coming out, and that's how they were trying to get traction with Blu-ray. But it's actually quite interesting. So the same battle happened between the two companies. It was the two juggernauts. It was JVC Toshiba against Sony again, and it was almost like Betamax versus VHS, right? So the reason why VHS beat Betamax is because Betamax was a Sony proprietary thing. Betamax was a there was just it wasn't an industry standard that was adopted like VHS. The real reason the thing ended was because, embarrassingly enough to say, was actually the porn industry. The porn industry is actually what drove it VHS. So now moving forward, here we are again. The same two juggernauts wanted to do one versus the other. And we had it all came to pass. But this time Sony could not afford to lose because they had their video game platform riding on it. They had their PC platform riding on it. They had the disc player thing riding on it. They had the movie studio stuff riding on it where movies were being filmed in that type of resolution and things. So they were launching that with Spider-Man and all this other stuff that was coming on board. And they could not afford to lose, and they didn't. They refused to lose. And so this happened at CES. They basically went and found the Toshiba JVC guys, walked over to their booth and said, "Can we have a private meeting?" Set them down, said, "How much is it going to take?" Like they had a checkbook there. Like, how much is it going to take to buy you out of your movie contracts, buy you out of Disney, buy you out of Universal, buy you out of all. Actually, Disney was Blu-ray, Universal was HD DVD. And how much penalty is it going to cost us to cross that bridge? And they wrote them, I want to say it was $100 million or $150 million check on the floor at that show.
Well, the thing
they couldn't lose.
The thing with Sony, right? They can make a good product. The problem that I always found with it is that they didn't support it for long periods of time.
Yep.
I'll give you an example. SDDS in the movie business, it didn't really hit home too much, but Sony Dynamic Digital Sound, right? It was one of the last type of sound formats to come into the theater as far as audio goes, because and they had to do some weird things with the soundtrack. You know, you had Dolby that sat on the film. You had DTS that sat on the film. You had the regular stereo soundtrack that sat on the film, and then Sony was like, "Well, we're going to create a digital sound reader, and we're going to we just need to figure out where we're going to put the soundtrack at." So they had to put it on the edge of the film, right? And which causes a problem because you constantly have the film running through rollers and sprockets, and the soundtrack wouldn't last very long on it. And so their sound readers, they would constantly get out of alignment. And so, but when it worked,
so everything became a kung fu movie.
No. I mean, because it's either skipping or not, right? Because it's digital.
Okay.
It's digital.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so when it worked, it was amazing. It sounded great. But they were the only people that had an 8-channel audio in the theater, right? So when movies came out that were on film, like Spider-Man,
right?
The first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire,
right?
That was
a huge movie.
Yeah, it was presented in 8-channel SDDS. People don't know that because it was never advertised.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember the logo. I remember the SDDS logo.
Sony they got brilliant engineers. They know how to make things. They just
don't like to share. They don't like
the memory stick Pro Duo, whatever it was called, right? It was so proprietary that even if you wanted to buy, I mean, I don't remember. Like if you buy a 256 gig stick or 250 megabyte stick, it was probably like $900 at the time.
Right.
Okay, that's exaggerated.
Well, remember they partnered with a Ford Mustang. I think it was 99 when Mustang changed their body style in 99. They partnered with them and put mini disc players in the most premium Mustang GT that you could buy. And nobody knew what the heck a mini disc was, and then when you went to Circuit City, this is really dating myself, Circuit City or Best Buy back then, they had this itty bitty mini disc section, but it was only Sony artists. It wasn't everyone. It's like, well, there's only so many times you want to listen to a Sony artist. I need some Metallica. I need some Led Zeppelin. I need some, if it wasn't a Sony artist, sorry, Jack, you're not getting it. And so they had too much to lose. So they basically bought the HD DVD studios out of their licensing and said, we're going to pay you for the penalties. We're going to give you Blu-ray technology so you guys can go ahead and release Blu-ray players immediately. And so it won't be too big of a hit for you. And that was it. And the war was over. It literally happened on the CES show floor. All it was funny is we were all waiting at the HD DVD. There was 2 press junkets. One of them was this giant Pirates of the Caribbean looking Black Pearl, life-size Black Pearl ship where it was showing Blu-ray and all this stuff, and that was their podium. And then HD DVD was like this King Kong thing,
Yeah, I think that was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
That they put out. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And so we were over there. It was King Kong and Transformers was their big thing. But they did this King Kong thing on literally the exact, almost like across the aisle, across the street. So it was one versus the other. We were all waiting at the HD DVD thing because it was just a better format. It looked better. It sounded better. The color palette was better than the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray didn't look bad, but HD DVD was the stronger of the 2 formats. And so we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and then there was about 30 minutes late, 45 minutes goes by, nobody shows up. And then finally, this mousy little person walks up to the podium and says, we're so sorry that HD DVD press junket has been canceled. Please help yourself to any merchandise that you see, because they had the tchotchkes and the shirts and free disc that you could get. I think we got Hot Fuzz, and basically every HD disc they made, they were giving them away. They said, here, have them. They were literally giving piles of them away to everybody that was there. I still have them somewhere. No, I actually don't. I lost that in my movie collection. But, and we were all trying to figure out what's going on. And then back then we all had Blackberries. This wasn't even iPhone world at this point. And all of our phones started going off. Bzz, 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 and we were kind of looking down and then looking at email, and it says, format war is over. Blu-ray wins. And then we all started looking over at the Blu-ray, and the crowd started kind of gathering over at the Black Pearl. And they came out and made the announcement that the format war was over. It was just wild. It was actually a pretty historic thing, to be on the floor at that time. It was probably my second CES that I'd ever been to, but it was very interesting that Sony could not afford to lose.
You say CES. I think next year, Technology Rocks needs to be coming out of CES next year.
CES or CEDIA, both. I think CEDIA would be fun too. Like to do a bunch of video stuff at CEDIA, that would be really cool.
So I'm going to ask you guys this.
Okay.
All right. HFR, yay or nay?
HFR?
High frame rate. So
I don't know enough about it, Ray. Tell me what this is.
What's high compared to what we've got?
Well, in HFR movie, right? Like Avatar, Fire and Ash came out in high frame rate.
Okay.
That's 48 frames.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen it, I think Hobbit came out in high frame rate as well.
Right.
Or one of the Lord of the Rings movies. I don't remember which one. So if you haven't seen it, I would probably recommend, if you can, go see Avatar in HFR. I'm not sure which theaters are showing it in HFR right now.
Is that almost like the soap opera effect, or
I mean,
And
yes and no. I think it's the way that it's like.
I know Sony had adaptive frame rate or something weird built on their TVs a long time ago.
Yeah, no. So HFR is we're running 48 frames a second instead of your typical 24.
Okay.
Right. When you look at it, like,
did I say 60 earlier? So 24 is the industry standard,
no,
or is it 60?
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Will Smith movie that came out that was directed by
That was the alien one.
No, well, I don't know. It was the one where he was fighting himself. I think that was directed by John Woo. I could be wrong on that, but I think that one might have been presented in a higher frame rate than 48.
So he wasn't fighting Chris Rock; he was fighting himself.
He was fighting himself. Yeah.
So nothing's changed.
I don't remember. I think that one was based in a higher frame rate.
Okay.
But if you get, but like Avatar is shot in HFR 48 frames in 3D. But what I really like about it is it just looks amazing. Usually when you have a higher frame rate and
looks fake,
the CGR just kind of comes out and looks fake. This does not. Now I know Cameron was very adamant about these theaters playing in 3D and if capable playing in HFR.
Glad you said 3D. Put a pin in that. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so it just looks amazing. Again, my opinion, and I'm not just trying to, get people in seats right now for Avatar because I haven't seen the movie, so I can't tell you if it sucks or not.
Yeah,
but
I've heard some people say it. Most people have said it's good. I don't think I can get into it. It's 3 hours long. I think I'm gonna have to go see the first two again, or the first one, revisit the first, and then watch the second, and then know what the heck's going on in three. I'm so disconnected from it right now.
Me as a consumer that wants to watch movies, I don't want to be sitting in an auditorium for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So there what now? Flowers of the Blood Moon, the DiCaprio movie that came out last year or the year before.
Yeah.
I can't think of the title right now, but anyways, that one was long, but for some reason did not seem like it was that long.
Well, let me ask you this, since we're using 3-letter abbreviations, HDR 10 plus and HDR worth it, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
you like HDR on projectors or no?
Yeah.
Really?
I watched.
I usually preferred SDR, and then it seems like HDR 10 plus has gotten way better now.
HDR is phenomenal. I watched Chainsaw Man in HDR on Barco, and it was amazing.
You're gonna have to calibrate the Barco.
I don't know if I know enough about that machine to calibrate it, but
yeah.
I mean, with the. I would love to play around with the Barco you have here.
If only somebody would fix the wiring. I don't.
Yeah, you got to comb it. I
know.
Yeah, but I personally like the higher frame rates. I like HDR. I think it looks phenomenal. It makes, as long as it doesn't look too you can tell what the CGI is because.
So 3D, are you a fan?
I love 3D, man.
That's the one thing that Kaleidescape does not have.
It doesn't matter,
and I don't know why. I'm not sure why. It may be that Okay, well, no, you would know this. Is 3D natively on the film, or does the movie house do something to convert it to 3D?
Currently?
Yes.
It's just left eye, right eye. It's running on two. I don't know.
No, but I mean, is the movie theater? I said movie house. Is the movie theater doing something to convert it to 3D?
No, that's all in the server.
Or it's already in the server.
Yeah.
So you guys use servers.
Still. Yeah, I mean,
DCI output.
It's all it has to be DCI.
The Barco has DCI.
Yeah. So because that's our industry standard. It doesn't matter if it's IMAX, Dolby, whatever. You have to have DCI compliance.
So have you started seeing Kaleidescape creep in your world at all?
No. Well, I mean, I know that they're there. I thought I read something on LinkedIn where there was one
That'll be a fun one for you and Matt to talk about.
I'm very curious. I personally would love to see, not from a standpoint of like with IMAX or anything like that, but more from like just in general, because I think there's so much you can do with not just showing movies at the movie theater. And I think at one point we were doing video games and connecting and renting out auditoriums. People were having um, events and things like that. And I've always been a fan of that. So I like the idea of having a variety of things you could do at the theater, but movies are always going to be movies.
So, Kaleidescape, going back to it, I'm trying to figure out. So, what is the reasoning behind, and maybe more of a Matt question, bringing it into the commercial platform? Is it just so they can do specialty movie nights, or without having to? I mean, how does a cinema like yours do like this when they did the 30th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith? How was that done? Like, how did you bring in the master file of that movie into those servers, or how was that done?
That came from the studios.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all done from the studios. That has nothing to do with the theaters themselves.
Okay. So, but how do they get it to the theater? It's just
every company has a booking department.
Oh, okay.
So they have to be booked for it, and there's also caveats within that.
Okay.
Right. So, if you want to book this movie, then they'll tell you, okay, well, we'll give you this movie, but you have to have this movie in this auditorium for this many days. So I mean, the behind the scenes in the
so it's a whole thing.
It's a whole other podcast, because it can get pretty tricky.
Well, so I've noticed that it looks like the Netflix Netflix WB deal now absorbing HBO Max, and HBO has gone through or going through. Paramount's still pissed, so they're basically reporting it as a monopoly. So I don't know if they're going to get trumped or not. I don't know if it's going to fall apart or not because of the monopoly rule or whatnot, but so I don't know. I don't think it's quite done as of yet, but so that'll be interesting to kind of watch what's going on there. There's there's a lot of fun stuff going on. I can't wait to have when they're on. That's going to be fun. Matt's you guys are you'll love him. He's a good guy. He's a gearhead too, and he's a movie nut as well. Obviously, you would have to be to work for Kaleidescape. So it'll be a lot of good fun. But yeah, no, I'm excited about the new Strato E and the Strato V. I think that's a sweet spot on there. I tried to get some top secret information out of him, and wondering where. To me, there needs to be just one that's a step more storage than the Strato V. And
I don't know. Do they allow external?
And no, it's
maybe they need to go that route too.
Nah, they can't. That's the problem. Is it has to be. So that's the thing, and that's the thing we're going to get into with Matt, and just a brief synop of where we're going to go with that is it's broken down one of two ways. One, they have to maintain an encryption on these hard drives, where as soon as they're removed from this machine, that it locks up. It's done. Just like your servers at your place. If you unplug power from your server, you probably get a phone call or something, what's going on. Or if I know some of them are as sophisticated as if you remove the HDMI port or DCI port from it, then there's a service thing. But Kaleidescape isn't that built up or bulletproofed, but they typically don't adhere to HDMI splitters because of HDCP protection. They can't. The hard drives are super encrypted, where they have to update those things, keep up with the firmware, and it's all different. All these encryptions change per studio. So everybody has their own format. So Sony's different than Universal, and Universal's different than this and that, so they all have a different protocol that Kaleidescape has to adhere to. So you have it one or two ways. You can either make the equipment cheaper and make the movies $100 a piece, which no one's going to pay for, or you make the equipment where it's at with all the encryption and things built in that, by keep in mind, they still have to pay for and they still have to adhere to, and keep the movies at $20 a piece. But to your point, as you said, couldn't say it any better, when you start comparing this to Apple, you don't actually own the data, whereas Kaleidescape, you own the data. So Hollywood does not want you to own a copy of their disc. They don't want you to. They don't want you to have it anymore. And it's because of piracy. It's because there's so many. It costs money for distribution. There's data breaches and piracy for people that are making media servers but sharing their libraries with other folks.
It's theirs. They can do what they want.
Well, ish. Not if you read the FBI law.
What's that?
Yeah, no, not because if you read the FBI law, you, in all technicality, you can't even let your family watch it.
No, I think the piracy law on that, I don't know, the old FBI,
Right.
cards
Federal
that you would
Bureau of
you would see. I think that's just mostly like you can't copy it from its original
Yeah.
location. In other words, like you can't have it on DVD and then burn it to a disc and then sell it.
Right.
So that's what it is. But it's not like you can. I mean, because it's like, okay, I bought this disc and I'm gonna sit here in my living room and show it, and then bring in your family and be like, oh, you can't watch it because FBI says you can't.
Well, so we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that with Kaleidescape. We're gonna talk about the lines. We're gonna talk about the nuts and bolts. We're gonna talk about their past, because they had a little bit of a hiccup in their past that's public knowledge, where they had to kind of unbury themselves out of a oops, we didn't know about that. One of those things where they created something where they were like, probably not the best idea, we should have done, and then they got, lawsuit to oblivion type of thing. And we're going to get into a little bit of that, but not stay into that reign. What I want to do is, this is a heck of a product. It's an amazing product. It's a product that deserves an audience. It's the reason why you're building the room. It's the reason why you buy the things you buy. So instead of chasing the dragon and buying bigger amplifiers and bigger subs and bigger speakers and things like that, you really should attend to the source and look at the source that you're using, and because it is the best source. I mean, now the most cost-effective source that one can buy is still a Blu-ray disc. It still is. The problem is they're not making them anymore. Disney was, you got to remember, when Disney announced a year and a half ago that they're no longer making Blu-ray disc, that's a big deal, because Disney owns everyone. That's 20th Century Fox, that's Lucasfilm, that's, Disney proper, that's Pixar now, that's ESPN, everybody. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So they have decided, when they announced that they're shutting their factory down because of EPA and blah, 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 blah. No, they're not shutting it down because of EPA. They're shutting it down because nobody's buying them anymore. You've got a few disc warriors that are still out there, Mr. Grind, and that still likes to buy a disc every now and then, but him buying a disc every now and then does not facilitate the $750 billion loss that they've encountered because of disc sales, or lack thereof. But yet people can still go buy records, which boggles my mind. But that's a whole different subject.
Blu-ray will make its comeback like vinyl.
You think so?
Yeah.
You really do?
Anyway, I'm going to circle back to what Ray asked about HFR.
Okay, go for it.
Please. I just looked something up, and it says, if you care about experiencing something closest to Cameron's vision of the latest Avatar, look for screenings marked as 3D HFR. And I guess that includes the IMAX 3D HFR. But, interesting fact, the best possible way to watch it is on your old friend, the Apple Vision Pro.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Is that the only use for it? I saw a thing that Purdue University had an advertisement that they were doing classes on Vision Pro or something.
It's the only way to watch it that combines all the elements of his vision of it, which is 4K image, full HDR, 48 frames per second, 3-dimensional 3D, and Dolby Atmos sound. So that's the only way you can get all those things. There you have it. Anyway, the 3D HFR is only in about 40% of the film. The other 60% is 24 frames a second with duplicated
which is
frames.
The standard, yeah.
And that's just for the normal dialogue things. It's
right.
It's the fluid motion things that take up that 40%. But they use something to do away with the, what did you call it? The soap opera effect.
Yeah, it's like I don't remember. Sony had a term for it, but yeah, no, Kaleidescape hasn't entered the 3D world yet.
It's called the soap opera effect. And it was criticised in The Hobbit at 48 frames per second.
Really?
Yeah, that one wasn't as like when you watch that in 48, you would see that, but like with Fire and Ash, you don't.
So back in the day, they tried to do it with a Pirates movie. I remember, and it was almost like somebody had a handy cam. You know, they were filming it with their phone or camera phone.
I thought Hobbit was filmed in 120 frames.
Don't know. Anyway, they're saying that the motion they use motion grading to get rid of the soap opera effect. Something called True Cut Motion technology. Pixelworks developed it.
Yeah. So yeah, no. So there's a lot of fun stuff. We're excited to have them on the show. They agree. You know, it's the reason why you do what you do, Ray, and Ian does what he does when he builds the things, and it rejuvenated my interest in home cinema. Just because, to be quite honest, it's not that Apple TV's bad. It's just it's not good. You know, it's not good to build a whole room around, you know.
I don't think I would not build a room around it.
No. I mean, think about it. People are spending thousands of dollars to build these rooms, and you're gonna slap a $175 box in it, and then talk to me about, oh, I need to buy a bigger amplifier, or I need to buy this. I'll be like, no. We need to stop. Blaine. Shout out to Blaine, Drake, who used to work here. He used to say you can't make lemonade out of pond water, and if you do, it's just going to be pond water flavored lemonade. So it's like you can't make things better that aren't better. You know, and that's the thing is there's no magic behind Kaleidescape. It's just the best form. It's better than the disc format. You know, but it's not as knee jerk between it and the disc, but it's knee jerk between it and the stream. You guys experienced that yourself, you know, the other day when I was kind of showing you the back and forth.
Yeah, I'm not against it. Obviously, I just can't afford it. there's a difference.
Employee accommodations. Yeah. But Ian will. So. What I'd like to get your perspective on when you rip a disc and do a disc to digital conversion, bit by bit, you know, aren't there some artifactual things that you can still see once it's transferred?
I did a lot of experimentation in the early days with the software that I was using. You could adjust lots of different parameters, and one of the main parameters gives you a trade-off between file size and like resolution, if you want to call it that. So
right.
I did it with
Make MKV, or was it Handbrake?
Both.
Okay.
Well, Make MKV is the one to just get the raw data off the disk.
Right.
then Handbrake is the one that then compresses into whichever format you want and with all the parameters. And the one film that I used was, what's the name? The Hunger Games. No, seriously.
That's when I quit. It was that and Rambo is when I quit.
Yeah, okay, so
Sylvester Stallone hates that process. We'll get into that in a second.
I converted the Hunger Games into many, many different size files based on a certain parameter, and I would watch them. And what I did was compare them to the original and also to streaming. Now, you talk about artifacts. So you're down to the level of MPEG type files, which is a movie version of JPEG, which is it's
lossless.
Yeah. So I found a place where there was a specific scene, and where she was the star, whatever her name is, Caitlin, was in this room, and a guy comes in, and the wall. Katniss,
not Kate. I was like, not Katniss. That's even weirder.
The wall was.
What version were you watching, good sir? Yeah.
Okay, so the wall was blue. So imagine a room like this, but the wall is blue.
Okay, wall.
But with the lighting, as you look up, it goes from black all the way up, and then it's almost white at the top because of the light. But it's still a black wall, and so this blue wall. I found the point where it crossed over from being you couldn't see that it changed at any particular level to if you went any lower than that, it was like, oh, it's 6 shades of blue up the wall. But this was like just graded all the way up the wall, and that gave a reasonable compression ratio. So that's what I've stuck with pretty much.
Interesting. And then how did that compare to streaming? Was it still as good as streaming or better?
It's better than streaming because streaming is the same as
even now, today's modern day streaming that you're seeing now.
Yeah, you still see that gradation, or graduation of color on a single color background or wall, but as it goes up different levels of lightness, you can actually see the bands.
Right.
So it's not pixelation. It's not that kind of loss of resolution, but it's that gradual change of color from a lighter to a darker shade. And I see that on streaming stuff. But
so the one thing that's distracting to me that I do appreciate with a Kaleidescape is that it's almost like injected film grain or something, right? You know what I'm talking about? It's like it almost looks like ants, running in the picture. You see it a lot in the Star Wars movies. You see it a lot in like even the newer Star Wars movies. It's like they almost look too good, and so they did this weird film effect to date it and make it look grainy and edgy and things like that. Yeah. So I hate that.
If you're shooting in film, great. Pick one or the other.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It looks horrible. I'm just like, yeah, no, I get what you're trying to do, but I didn't pay all this money for a good TV or a good projector to have it look like there's a bunch of ants running in the background. It's very weird to me, like the way that comes across in translation. So, but yeah, no, I think it's fun. Again, disc or dead, whether they make a resurgence or not, that'll be interesting. That'll be a fun So your crystal ball, Mr. Grain, is there disc are going to make a resurgence?
Who knows?
No, commit to it. Stick the landing. They're either gonna here it is. 2026 January.
5 or 10 years ago, would you have said, "Oh, vinyl's going to make"?
I still think it's stupid that vinyl's made a comeback. And I buy them. I still think it. It's just like, to me, it's the most asinine thing. It's like, hey, Ian, let's go pull your Ford Mustang out of your garage and rip the fuel injection off of it and put a carburetor on it for fun.
Yeah.
And that's basically what we've done. There's nothing convenient about vinyl.
Everything makes a full circle. Everything is going to make a full circle.
But the people that are buying vinyl and buying decks to play them on now aren't the old people like me.
No, it's not. Yeah.
It's the youngsters.
I know. It's just like what I did when I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go get a '78 Camaro or this or a Mustang, so I can put a car. I can play with a carburetor." My dad's looking at me like I'm the stupidest person on the planet. He's like, "Why, son? We have fuel injection now. Why would you do that?"
I think the kids that are buying vinyl now don't even know what a CD is.
No, and they don't want to tape. Well, here's the fun. So I'll tell you this. Okay. Let's spin this into a positive. There are awesome small businesses in this area named Volume Music. There's one in right down the street from here, right off Rayford Sawdust. There's another place in the mall called VT Records. There's a place in Old Town Spring called Galaxy Music Space City Audio.
Oh, well, it used to be Galaxy, probably.
Yeah, Space City something or other. Yeah. And what's fun about that is that, and I go say hi to Volume all the time. That's usually the one I frequent. I go check in and say hi to them, and then they talk me into making bad decisions and buying music, and which that's not really hard to do. So, but what's fun is I watch these kids that walk in, and some of them, this is the first time they've ever been to a record store. Because again, record stores are gone. Now, can you imagine that we're now living in a day where there's not a toy store? And then record stores all went away. I mean, used to, you had Camelot Music, you had Sound Warehouse, you had Sam Goody, you had Blockbuster Music, you had all these things that were around, and now they're gone. But then you have now what I think is cool, the novelty part about it is you have these cool mom and pop shops that are popping up, and it's a culture thing. These kids come in, they hang out, they talk to the owners, they talk to each other. It's a haunt for them, and that's the cool part about it for me. And now I'm the creepy old guy that's hanging out at the record store buying records.
Yeah, I need to go hang out and look.
It's fun.
Talking of which, the Pink Floyd, not Dark Side of the Moon, the other one, Wish You Were Here, was 50 years old recently.
Yeah, you said that was the last show or 2 shows ago, right? Was when they were at 50, and they hit the charts again, didn't they?
Yeah, and one of the range of items they brought out Blu-ray, CD, vinyl. The collector's vinyl edition actually is divided into 4 quadrants, and each of those 4 quadrants has liquid inside.
Oh wow!
4 different colors, like the Microsoft logo, and when you
and it spins, it kind of does.
And when you tip the record, back and front, you see the liquid just flowing around in these 4 quadrants.
Yeah, you'll have to go over there and order. They may not. If it would surprise me if they had one of those there, but you probably have to order it. But I know. But yeah, no, that's cool. So I got that. I missed out on the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge Van Halen album, and
I remember that.
It was an awesome album. Love that album. And so I missed it out. It was a limited release. I missed out on it. And one day, this was probably last year, October-ish, I think, somewhere in there. I was in there. And they had, we were just talking. I said, man, are they ever going to come out with that again? I was just asking. She goes, I think I have one. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, no, I have one. In fact, I think it's yours. Like, I don't think you ever picked it up. So I was like, really? And she was like, no. I think I'm almost 1,000% sure I still have it. And so she went in the back, and sure enough, she had the copy of it. So they have me on tap. Anything they get something really cool or rock related or something like that, they'll, I have an original uncut Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses album, and it was the original 1983 release with what they call the cover, and because it's not I have to put stickers on the cover, because of the certain things that the label did not want put on the front of the album, but they released it early anyway. And then the label then recalled it, and then they released the cross cover that you see everywhere. But a few of those copies made it out to radio stations and stuff, and this is one of those copies. And she called me and she goes, "I have an appetite." I said, "Whatever." I said, if you're gonna say the two other words, it's mine. Yes, I'll take it. I don't even care. Don't even show me how much it is. I want it. And so there's a fun thing about it, is hunting things, and I'll say the same thing exists when you're digging through a pile of disc, like a pile of movies. There's a fun, you find your top 10 and you have the darn thing, but you still want to buy it anyway. So there's a fun thing, and that's kind of what rejuvenated it with Kaleidescape. It's just like, except now I don't have to dig through any bargain bins. It's on my screen, and I go to the movie store, which is equally dangerous, and then I can see every uncut version they have of every movie with every actor. If I want to go look at specific actors, I can find that. If I want to go look at specific directors, then I can find everything the director was involved with, and it creates this own organic search engine that you don't get, and then of course I'm a total dork, so I'm like, oh, I didn't know he directed that movie. What other movies did he direct? And you hit the button and there's thousands of movies that he had something to do with. And another one of the categories that they're bringing into it is live music. They brought live music into it, where I know they just released a new Queen thing on Kaleidescape, as well as Jimi Hendrix, and every Thursday and Friday Kaleidescape users get text messages from Kaleidescape, because they release new things they're literally adding things to this every week. They are signing new contracts every week. Hollywood is on board with this product, so it is the only product out there that is sanctioned by the movie studios. The music industry is a new category for them, and so they're adding things to that's a whole nother negotiation process. So that's not the same studios at all to get music rights and things, or rights to live music. And strangely enough, there's not a lot of live music that's being that has been filmed in 4K. Most of it is 1080p or 720p, and they're trying to remaster before they release. Now there are brands like Creed and Dave Matthews and Metallica is doing all they're filming all their things. ELO, they filmed all that stuff in 4K when they just did their last tour, and it's going to be released pretty soon on Kaleidescape. And so there are people now that have drank the Kool-Aid that get it. They're like, okay, people actually want to see this stuff. People actually want to do this stuff. But it's a phenomenal product. It's so much fun, and we'll go into a different thing when we got a few announcements we're gonna make during that show. So it'll just be a lot of fun. But this was a fun cast to get to know Ray a little bit more. And kind of,
Well, I was going to ask Ray, do you just work at one movie theater, or you work for a company that owns several, or?
No, I'm an IMAX guy.
He goes everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
So you go everywhere.
Yeah.
So is IMAX limited to a certain chain?
No. They're limited in certain areas, but not.
I mean, have we got an IMAX in this Regal up the road? I've only been there a couple of times.
You have
Edwards, right?
Edwards Marquee.
Okay, that's downtown off I-10.
Yeah.
Metro Park in Shenandoah.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah,
Shenandoah has one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this one up here.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
The one downtown, whatever you just said, I think that's where I went to see F1.
Oh, the Greenway?
Right.
They just opened. Greenway, Regal Greenway just opened their IMAX.
Well, whenever the F1 movie came out, what was it, last June or July? Anyway, I went down there and watched it there.
So yeah, we got plenty here in the area. So all you got to do is
Look it up. Regal is the. Do you service the Regals too? I guess
And
you go everywhere that has an IMAX brand. Right?
well, I'm over this area, so yeah.
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 And how far out do you go?
I think the furthest one I have is Pittsburgh.
Oh, good golly. Okay.
Yeah. That's the boonies.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
like
so
Pittsburgh.
you go everywhere.
Yeah.
So what is it that when you go out there, are you calibrating or what do you?
We do. We just do our you know our maintenance for it, which is in turn it's calibration.
So
So you
basically, you go in and say, we're going to calibrate this, so you need to run the whole movie for us.
Yeah, well, I work overnight, so I'd rather not.
No, so he acts. So
Luckily.
that is the one thing about him is he doesn't get to start work until peak time is over with.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But,
so-
but I mean, it's
Yeah.
still good. I mean, there are times like why I saw Godzilla -1 like 3 times was because I chose to watch that. 3
Oh,
times,
okay.
so- but yeah, I mean, it's definitely fun to be around and.
You can't just walk in and say, I'm the IMAX guy, I want to just stand in and watch and make sure this is still going properly and that we've still got
No,
calibration.
I think he gets dispatched, is what it is. I think you have a problem, and he shows up. Yeah.
Yeah,
no, he's
well, that's
one of those.
part of it, but luckily for me, especially in this area, a lot of these guys around, I've known for a long time, so it's not, anything special. As far
Have you
as
seen a new one? Have you been involved with like a new build?
No, I don't do installations or anything.
Okay, so you don't do install. I
No.
watched that's what got me so obsessed with the iMac. There was it was I think even before YouTube, but it was a video of how they raised the screen and built the screen and they laid it out on the seating and then they
Where
just
did you
kinda
see that? Because
hoisted
I had
up.
been looking for a video. I remember even way before my
I
IMAX.
am trying to remember where I saw it.
So there was an episode
It's so cool.
of how it's made.
I think that's it.
And
that was probably it.
There was a buddy of mine who we both worked for the same company at the time, was involved in that. And he had to be there for that. And so for the longest time, I had been looking for it. But
Yeah, well, I can
doesn't
probably find it for you. I've seen it in the last 2 or 3 years because it sucks me in every time when I watch it. It's so cool. It's like they lay the screen on the seats first, and then to stretch it out, and then they hoist it, and then somebody has to hold it while it's being hoisted. Otherwise, if it gets a snag, it'll just
these things are heavy,
yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys, that are out there and they're, the crews, whether it's an IMAX or Dolby or a regular theater like at Cinemark or Regal AMC, whatever, they do such great work and not to go on a tangent about shitty people, but these guys and the a little late for that. And the people in their crew and the guys in the auditoriums, man, you got it. The workers in these locations, and they work so hard to kind of keep their stuff up and about. And you just have those knuckleheads that just like to come in and just screw shit up. And it sucks because it makes their job harder. It makes the what people are going in for to enjoy, watching movies or anything like that. You can enjoy it because these people just like to go in. So if you're one of those people that are listening, just stop.
Because you're one of those people. Stop it now.
It's annoying, but hats off to those guys because they're good at what they do. And
it's so cool. It's
so amazing. Yeah.
Again, that would be my dream job is to be on one of those crews just for a day, just to kind of see behind the show, behind the curtain, and kind of go through all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. Do you know though, for a cool premium price of $1 million, you can have a IMAX certified cinema built in your home by you guys?
Yes, but I don't know if they're offering that service anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think
This was about 3 years ago, I think, is when I
I know that
saw
they
it.
were doing
Yeah.
it even before I got on with those guys. Um, there is somebody, I want to say it's John Favreau. Somebody built one in California
Yeah.
who was doing film stuff, and
I think
they
Bay
were
has
offering
one,
that.
but he's in Florida, though. If I remember right.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. I think it is
I think
Michael
it's
Bay.
Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Michael Bay did it, and he uses it as a screening room, is what, or he does it to mix things.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I know that they put some in, but I don't know a lot about any of that. Only because, on the side of
It's COVID operations. Yeah, no.
no, we're just in totally different
Wasn't
departments.
Am I making this up in my brain? At one point in time, wasn't there a movie service where you paid 30 grand a year or something? And then you still had to pay for the movie, where you got first run movies in your home. Wasn't that a thing? Like,
No,
there was some sort of concept that somebody was talking about, and then
I feel like I remember people talking about that, but it was super expensive. But no, I
and then
don't.
it went. I
There's
think
nothing.
it crashed as soon as not too long after it came out. It was
Mm.
just too complicated. I think if you removed a video cable, then you had to call them and give them a PIN number, and
Yeah, it's just it's
yeah, it was.
somebody spewing out an idea that didn't work.
Yeah, no, that's why
Probably.
you
I don't
need.
know.
That's why you buy Kaleidescape. Yes, no, that's yeah. But anyway, all right. Well, I think that is good. We got to know Ray a little bit. Next week we'll have Matt Scarborough and his team on to torture him. I'll let Byron and Ray torture him, and Ian can torture
Well,
me.
if they get if they get free one, I want one.
I don't think anybody's getting a free one, but I can get you guys one at a really good deal if you want one.
I don't want one. I've got my own.
I've got
He
movies.
has
I've got my own
vinyl.
little setup. It works.
My setup works whether the internet works or not, and guess what? So does your Kaleidescape. Yes, you don't need an internet connection for your system to work.
You don't want to watch one of those 5 movies that you've got stored on there, and you want to watch something.
There you go, blowing holes in the ship. No. Well,
No,
how long does it take you to find a movie in your disk library? Well, no, that you don't count because you have a Plex server. So
Yeah. I
I'm
also
just-
have a lot on my Amazon watch list movies that I haven't
Yeah.
got that I want to watch.
I'm excited.
yeah, no, it'll be fun, and I think they'll be excited to meet you guys and
I like technology.
talk to. I love technology rocks. No, and talk to Ray. It's interesting. You guys bring a whole different perspective to it. Having the commercial eye to it. I'm glad you got to work. Several weeks with me to see how crazy the home side of things, home cinema side.
Well, there's so much. I mean, there's so much potential on there. Not to drag out the episode, but there's so much like those few weeks that we worked and doing the house.
That was such a weird house.
It was weird, but I was looking at that theater room and I was like, God, this has so much potential.
You know what? Where the lack of potential is the processing. The whole thing. It was a $500,000 theater room, and it wasn't ours. We were contracted to go build it, and then I brought Ray to calibrate it because it's in the room was an acoustical nightmare to begin with, and we had already talked to the homeowner about that and just said, hey, we got to do something about the acoustics in this room if you want to get the most out of it. And then he puts a gong in the corner,
That worked out great.
It was so, and I'm not even joking about that. Ray was like, is that a gong? And I was like, I can't even look. I can't. And it was just a very odd room, beautiful equipment, very odd room, but it was, I don't know. It just, to me, I wanted it to be, but I mean, it was a Wolf Cinema projector. I mean, it was a nice projector. It was a giant screen. It was JL audio and Macintosh to the nth degree. And all this stuff, and yeah, no, there's so much potential. But then when you use a basic processor like that has limited EQ, because even somebody as talented as Ray that comes in that builds these things is looking at it and he's like, is this all we can do to it? Like, there's no graphic EQ, there's no parametric EQ, there's no, I can't get in the nuts and bolts, I can't mess with the frequency curves and all that stuff. Where, and in most cases, those things are locked down because 90% of the people out there, if they were given those tools, would make it sound like hammered crap, and because they don't know what they're doing. But then if you give somebody like Ray something like Dirac Live, or which is similar to Dolby, your Dolby curve, where you can go in and find bass nodes and play with zhuzh, the speaker placement and things like that to get rid of peaks and valleys. Dirac Live and something like Arc, which is a patented room correction by Anthem Paradigm Martin Logan. It opens up a whole new world to it. But it was just very odd that this system had a Marantz processor on it, and it was just like, is this really it? Is this really, it's like this thing needed a Trinnov.
I was gonna bring that up, and I was just gonna say, like Trinnov has probably some of the best room.
I got to get you over to Terry Daly's house and to see his Trinnov. Yeah, he's got a pair of Sonus Faber Aidas and a Trinnov process. He would love for you to come out and look at it.
Yeah, I think if we can, I got a buddy of mine who works for Trinnov on the commercial side. He's kind of hard to get a hold of sometimes because he's American.
What's his name?
In London.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is it Bruce or Chuck?
No, neither. Okay. His name's Mike.
Okay.
And so he's all over the place.
Well, I also got to get you in front of Rick Henthorne. Rick Henthorne owns a company called Acurus AV, and he does esoteric processors as well. I haven't heard of something thus far that has so much dynamic headroom, meaning you can turn up the volume during a soft moment in a movie and still hear everything they say, and then a gunshot still feels like a gunshot, meaning, you don't have to turn it up to hear what they say, and then you're blown out of the room if something explodes. And he has that type of dynamic headroom built in his processing. And I need you, what's cool about him is it's 100% American made all the way down to the circuit boards. He lives in the Woodlands, so he's a co-owner of the company, and he will happily audition his product to anyone that wants to see it. And it's right up there with Trinnov. It's really, really cool. So where Trinnov does a lot of this, I think they call it dynamic bass, where they try to create this node by room correction and calibration and things. Some people like that, and some people, they say it squishes the bass. And so the Acurus method is a lot different than that. It uses multiple microphones, which you're used to in your cinema calibrations. And so I would love to get you guys in the same room together, because that would be fun, because Rick has got a terrific product, and it's just a whole lot of fun to kind of take a look at what's going on. But we'll get Rick on the show. He said he'd love to come on the show as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. So all right, so we have homework. Our listeners, if you've got a list of top 10 movies, and we're going to post our top 10 movies on Technology Rocks Facebook page. If you've got a list of your top 10 movies, we'd love to see them, because we'd love to discuss them. Shout out to Lena. She has been very active with asking questions and things. She actually talked about our show. She's a sweet lady. Her and her husband Ron works at Blackwood shooting range, and then she's kind of surfs the wave and looking for things to do. So she fell in love with our show, reached out, asked about questions. She loved the streaming topic last week. She loved the banter between Ian and Byron with the streaming and Byron's search for where can I get football.
Lord Byron,
Lord Wallace. Yes, no, and then but to answer some of those recaps, Ian, no, you cannot watch sports on Amazon Prime. Ray was correct. All those services were blocked out because of all of the licensing things. Paramount Plus offering a sweetheart deal for UFC fans. You can no more pay-per-view now. If you're a UFC fighting fan, no more pay-per-view. You pay $89 a year. Get every fight for the entire year. No pay-per-view, no upcharge, no nothing.
What if you have it now?
Yes, you get it already. It's grandfathered in. You get it already. That's why you may have seen your price go up a little bit. But now you can get every UFC pay-per-view fight for your monthly subscription. So that's fun news. But yeah, I think that's a cast. Everybody say bye, Byron.
Goodbye, Byron.
Bye, Byron.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Matt Scarborough and team with Kaleidescape on the show. I think we gave him a grand hour and 55-minute entry. And we'll see him next week with floods of questions. If you guys have questions, you guys have already submitted a lot of questions. 206 cities, 826 listeners thus far. So we're heading up in the right direction with all of those things. And if you do work in a cinema and you're doing a job, then stop it, as Ray said.
Well, I wasn't talking about the workers in the cinema. I was talking about the people going to the cinema.
Oh, yeah. No, stop screwing it up for everybody else. No, Ray loves cinemas. We all love cinemas. Without cinemas, none of us would have jobs. So, all right, we will see in a bit. That's a cast. I can't say bye any other way, and I can't do the Byron later thing. Anybody want to do a Byron impression?
No, but I'll say TTFN.
I love it.